Amara's expression softened immediately. She turned her head slightly, studying me with the kind of quiet seriousness she reserved for rare moments. It wasn't dramatic, not the kind of look you see in movies where the music swells and everything slows. No, this was quieter. More real. The kind of pause where you feel someone thinking, choosing their next words with care, weighing not the situation but you. The late afternoon light slid across her face, catching the faint freckles on her nose that she'd spent half her life trying to hide. She didn't blink for a moment, and I could see something forming behind her eyes, an unspoken worry, a reluctant curiosity, maybe even a hint of fear she didn't want to admit to. "You're not telling me everything," she finally said, her voice soft but firm enough to press against the air between us. I shifted my weight from one foot to the other. I hadn't meant for her to notice. Amara had always been too good at reading me, so good that sometimes it felt unfair. She could look at me for 2 seconds and unspool the whole story I was trying to keep hidden behind a smile or a shrug. "It's nothing," I tried. The words came out too fast, weak, flimsy, like tissue paper. She frowned slightly, her gaze narrowing in that way she had when she knew I was dodging. "Don't do that," she whispered. "Not with me." Her tone wasn't accusing. It was something gentler and somehow heavier. A reminder of everything we'd been through, every conversation that stretched late into the night, every moment she'd stood by me even when she didn't fully understand why I was falling apart. I exhaled slowly, trying to gather myself before speaking. But my thoughts tangled the moment I tried to pull them together. How was I supposed to tell her that what looked like a simple favor had so much more buried under it? How was I supposed to explain why I reacted the way I did when she reached for the small velvet box earlier? The one I tried to hide with the smoothness of someone who wasn't smooth at all. She stepped a little closer, her hair brushing her shoulder as she tilted her head. "Look at me." I did, and that was the problem. When I looked at her, all the things I had rehearsed in my mind, every neat sentence, every calm explanation, collapsed instantly. Because looking at her made everything feel bigger, more fragile. Like if I said the wrong thing, her expression might shift from soft concern to something sharper, something hurt. "Okay," I said, and my voice cracked barely enough for her lips to tighten almost imperceptibly. "Okay, you're right." Her shoulders eased a little, but she didn't speak. She let the silence sit, giving me space. That was always something she did, leave room for me to breathe, even when she was the one confused. "It's about earlier," I said, rubbing my palm against my jeans. "When you asked me why I looked weird." She raised an eyebrow, waiting. "I wasn't expecting you to touch it," I admitted. "Touch what?" she asked, though I could tell she already knew. She just needed me to say it, the ring. Her breath hitched, barely, but I caught it. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The world around us continued, cars passing in the distance, a dog barking somewhere, the soft hum of wind brushing against the fence. But the space between us went quiet, thick, complicated. She swallowed. "Why did you have it with you?" she asked gently. I hesitated. That was the part one hadn't been ready to say out loud. That was the truth sitting heavy in my chest, pressing forward with every beat of my heart. I wasn't planning to show it to anyone," I said. "Not yet. I didn't even know I'd bring it today. I just didn't want to leave it at home. It felt too important." She stared at me, her expression giving nothing away now, not softness, not anger, not confusion. Just stillness. A quiet, careful stillness. Then she whispered, "Is it recent? You buying it?" 2 weeks ago, I said. "And I've been carrying it ever since." Her eyes flickered, the smallest tremor of surprise rippling across her features. Not shock. Not alarm. Just something like realization, like she was finally seeing the outline of the truth hidden behind the edges of my actions. "And today," she said slowly, "you thought about telling me." I didn't respond at first. Because the answer wasn't simple. It wasn't a yes or no, it was a messy, tangled knot of maybes, hopes, fears, timing, and every moment we hadn't said out loud what we were becoming. "Today," I said carefully, "I thought maybe you'd notice." "And you did." Her lips parted slightly, her breath catching. "I don't want to misunderstand," she murmured. "You won't," I said. "Not this time." She looked down at her hands then, those small, capable hands that always moved with intention, always steady except for moments like this. Moments where her thoughts ran deeper than she wanted me to see. Finally, she lifted her gaze. "Why now?" That question cut straight through me, not because it was difficult, but because it was the one I'd been asking myself for weeks. Why now? Why after years of being almost something, circling around feelings we never named, pretending timing was the only thing stopping us when really it was fear? Because, I said softly, I've never been more sure of anything. Her breath trembled, and for the first time, I saw unmistakable emotion flicker through her eyes: fear, hope, disbelief, all weaving together in a way she hadn't prepared for. And because, I continued, when you reached for it earlier, the way you did, I realized I didn't want someone else's first touch on that ring. I wanted it to be you. Her hand lifted to her chest, fingers curling slightly as if steadying herself. I didn't know, she whispered. I know, I said. And that's okay. She took a small step closer, so close the air between us felt charged, held, almost fragile. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. When you bought it, her voice wavered just slightly. Who were you thinking about? Really? I let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped in my lungs for too long. You, I said. Only you. The words hung there, simple, unadorned, but heavier than either of us expected. Her eyes glistened, not with tears, but with the warmth of someone who didn't know she'd been hoping for this until the moment she heard it. For a long moment, she didn't move. And then, slowly, hesitantly, she reached out. Her fingers brushed the back of my hand, barely a touch, but enough to send a quiet, electric shiver through the space between us. Don't hide it from me next time, she whispered. There was no accusation in her voice, only a gentle plea, a soft promise that she wasn't running away. I won't, I said. Not ever again. Her expression softened even more, her shoulders loosening, her breath evening out. And as we stood there, two people on the edge of something fragile and enormous, I realized something simple yet profound. She wasn't afraid of the ring, she was afraid of not being told she was the reason for it, and now that she knew, everything felt different. Lighter. Warmer. Possible. If you want a part 2 photo prompts, 5 per chapter, more emotional expansion, just tell me.